Let's start things off with radar. We had some showers, even a few downpours earlier this afternoon, but you can see they're continuing to push off to the south and east. These showers were ahead of a cold front that's going to usher in some really big changes just in time for fall. Fall officially begins at 9:04 this evening with the autumnal equinox, and like magic, we are going to go from summer-like temperatures yesterday to very fall-like temperatures for tomorrow. You're also going to start to notice the wind picking up. Temperatures right now really depends where you live. You can see where the cold front has already slid through. Temperature right now just 55 degrees in Oakland, but you head over into Romney, just a few miles, temperature still 67 degrees. We're in the mid to upper 70s from Leesburg down into Manassas, 74 degrees in DC, 73 in Tappahannock. But as we head through the next several hours, temperatures will really start to fall off and the wind will really start to pick up. But right now we're already seeing some pretty significant wind gusting up to 40 miles per hour right now in Leesburg, 24 in Gaithersburg, 22 the current wind gust in DC, 26 in Manassas. And over the next several hours, that wind will start to ramp up as well. So any outdoor holiday decorations, anything outside that can easily get blown over, make sure it's secure or bring it inside if you can, because the wind is going to stick around for several hours. It's really not until tomorrow afternoon when the wind really starts to taper off. So this is right around 6:15 this evening. Winds still gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour, and in some cases, locally higher wind gusts, maybe a gust of 37 in and around the Gaithersburg area. This is 9 o'clock. You can still see significant wind coming in from the north and west. That's going to help bring in those really chilly temperatures by the time you're waking up early Friday morning. And this is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Wind is still gusting upwards of 20 miles per hour. By tomorrow afternoon, we will continue to see the wind taper off. By 3 o'clock, wind gusting 15 to 20 miles per hour, so certainly still noticeable, but not as windy as it will be tonight, and not as windy as it will be tomorrow morning. Let's talk a little bit more about temperatures, because the fall feel is already here by this evening. This is right around 9 o'clock. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s from Leesburg back into Gaithersburg, 57 degrees in Martinsburg, temperatures in the low 60s for DC and La Plata. And then overnight, we continue to knock off a few more degrees. We wake up right around 50 degrees in DC, 40s in most of the suburbs, mid to upper 40s. So as you're stepping outside tomorrow morning, you're going to want to have your jacket than you've needed so far this season. Getting the kids out to the bus stop, make sure they are properly dressed, because with the wind, temperatures will feel even a few degrees cooler than they actually are. Notice far western Maryland and out towards the mountains, temperatures down into the 30s. Now we are still going to have that wind overnight, and it's a good thing because that will help prevent any potential frost in our far western counties. Now most of us, of course, not getting that cool, but noticeably cooler than it's been over the past several evenings. Tomorrow afternoon, temperatures stay in the 60s. That'll do it for high temperatures. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon, the high temperatures are actually going to be cooler than it was this morning. A big change in temperatures as we look towards the end of the week and into the weekend. High temperature right around 68 degrees tomorrow afternoon in DC, 66 in Gaithersburg, 65 in Frederick, 67 down into Culpeper. But with that little of a breeze, there's going to be a chill in the air. So make sure you dress appropriately as you step outside for Friday. Really right after around 3-4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the wind really starts to taper off, and it's the calmer wind that will allow our temperatures to get even cooler for Saturday night. So waking up Saturday morning, this is right around 7 o'clock. Temperatures in the 40s across the map. Low 40s from Frederick down into Gaithersburg, back towards Martinsburg and parts of northern Virginia. Right around 46 degrees overnight in Manassas, 48 in La Plata. So a chilly start to the weekend, but the weekend really does look very nice. Saturday afternoon temperatures will get a few degrees warmer than they'll be tomorrow. High temperature right around 73 degrees. Plenty of sunshine. Both weekend days do look very nice, but we'll give Saturday the pick day of the weekend, because Sunday clouds will start to increase a little bit more. It will be warmer, so if you're not ready for the cooler temperatures, you might like Sunday better, but we do have some showers that could move in throughout the afternoon, really into the evening. Would not cancel any plans for Sunday, but maybe if you're heading out to the Commanders game Sunday afternoon, by the time the game's wrapping up, you could see a spotty shower or two. But most of next week looks dry and the cool air sticks around. Sunday is going to be the warmest day in the extended forecast. Average high temperature for the end of September is just below 80 degrees, and we're cooler than that all the way through next week as we head into October on Saturday. Hard to believe it's already October. Temperatures will still be cool, only in the upper 60s and low 70s as we head through the next 10 days. Aside from a few spotty showers on Sunday, really no rain in the forecast. So our quiet stretch of weather continues, but where it's not so quiet, is the tropics. Of course, we're keeping an eye on major category 4 Fiona as it moves closer to Bermuda. They do have hurricane warnings in effect as they start to feel those conditions later tonight and really into early Friday morning as this storm approaches. Thankfully, it is going to stay far enough to the west that they escape any major destruction, but heavy wind, heavy rain, all forecast for Bermuda. We also have Tropical Storm Gaston. Really no threat. What I'm more interested in is this tropical wave, a 90% chance of development in the next 5 days. This is going to become Hermine any day now. We have 2 other tropical waves working their way off the coast of Africa that we're watching. The one farther off to the west of the Africa coast, a 30% chance of development in the next 5 days, and a little bit closer to land, 60% chance of development. This looks to move off to the north. We'll keep an eye on this, but really no concern right now. So let's take a closer look at Fiona. Winds still sustained at 130 miles per hour. This is a major category 4 storm, and it has picked up its forward motion a little bit. It's moving faster to the north and east. Right now, around 16 miles per hour. You can see it sitting just to the south and west of Bermuda. Those outer convective bands already impacting the island. The storm will continue to push off to the north and east as we head through the evening and overnight hours, passing just to the west of Bermuda. So again, they will see some impact, but it could be a much worse situation. But those hurricane warnings are still in effect for hurricane-like conditions. Now, as it starts to interact with a little bit of Bermuda, it might weaken just a bit. Could be back down to a category 3 hurricane by tomorrow morning, but that is still a major hurricane as it continues to push off to the north. Then we shift our focus to the Canadian Maritimes. This could be a really significant storm for Newfoundland, approaching as a category 3 storm. It probably will weaken before interacting with land by Saturday morning, but still looking at significant storm surge for the area. Look at all of those bays. That is not good news in terms of storm surge, heavy wind, heavy rain, all on the table as this storm moves into the Canadian Maritimes. So if you have interest in the area, loved ones, property, make sure you're checking in on them because it is going to be a really high impact storm for parts of Canada as we head into the weekend. We're also keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Gaston, but again, this really not a concern as we head through the next couple of days. Still a tropical storm in the far northern Atlantic, just to the left of the Azores, and expected to remain a tropical storm as it continues to kind of dance around itself over the next several days, and then eventually it pushes off to the west and weakens. But let's talk more about that disturbance. It's still just a little bit to the east of the Windward Islands. This is Invest 98L, and again, set to become Hermine any day now as it moves farther to the west into more favorable conditions into warmer water. Now, thankfully, a lot of our computer models do keep it to the south of the islands, but where it goes from there is what we're really concerned about. So this is a model comparison between the GFS, the American model, and our European model. The red lines indicate the European model, the yellow lines indicate the American model, and the closer the lines are, the denser the lines, the stronger the storm. And there's pretty solid agreement that by Tuesday, this storm is continuing to work its way west of Cuba. So thankfully, again, should stay south of the islands, but something we'll be watching carefully. And then as it moves into the really warm Gulf of Mexico, this storm intensifies rapidly. This is Wednesday. There's a little better consensus today that the storm stays just to the west of the Florida Keys. Earlier, the American model was pulling it a little bit farther west in the Gulf of Mexico, but the centers of those storms are a little bit closer as of this afternoon, but there is still question as to where it goes from there. The European model tries to make landfall in parts of Florida by Thursday. The GFS model a little bit slower, still strengthening, still intensifying over those warm Gulf waters and eventually making landfall on Friday, while the European model has it going up the east coast by Friday. And keep in mind, these are just 2 of our computer models. This forecast is so far from certain, but the takeaway here is that it's something that we have to watch really carefully over the next several days. These are our spaghetti models, and keep in mind each individual line represents a different potential outcome for the storm track, and they really are all over the place. Some take it closer to Mexico, others keep it to the east of Florida. So stick with us over the next several days. We're going to be watching the tropics very carefully. Again, Fiona is going to be a more immediate concern, of course, for Bermuda tonight and the Canadian Maritimes as we look ahead towards tomorrow and into the weekend. But it's Invest 98L, which will likely become Hermine any day now that will likely have a U.S. impact by the end of next week. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. And of course, our local forecast. But once we get past the wind and the cooler temperatures today, our forecast is pretty nice. So I hope you get a chance to get out and enjoy it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try and go back and answer as many of them as I can. In the meantime, I hope you have a great Thursday.